Hey, what's up guys? Shuckleking here, bringing you my draft analysis for P4G. We're going to keep this normal, but the league is not going to be normal because we are playing a low-tier league. Shoutouts to Kyleaye for inviting me into the season, and then eventually I'm going to be running it with him and Pogame. It's going to be a really fun time. Make sure you guys subscribe and like this video. Really appreciate everyone's support. It's been insane the support I've gotten in the past year or so. Really appreciate this, and it's a ton of fun. So, going to low tier. Now, you guys, if you've been around the channel like really long, probably like my oldest videos on my channel, they're from I think they're from Generation 5, Black and White NU, even before Black and White 2 NU. I have Black era Gen 4 games, but I don't believe there's any on the channel at least. I know I did some early stuff. So I've been doing low tier stuff. I have experience in older gen, lower tier tournaments on Smogon and such. So really familiar with the low tiers, and hopefully they can work out well for Generation 9. This is a general guideline of all the tiers. So the tier 1s, you could see a couple Pokemon, Staraptor, which I believe it's in PU now. Isn't that crazy, man? I don't know. I haven't been keeping up a ton with Smogon tiers, but that just seems insane. Gardevoir is here. Barraskewda, which is an OU thread in Rain. But we have no Pelipper, and Politoed is also in tier 1. So it's going to be hard to balance those. But Joey and Kyle did the tiering for this. Hopefully I found some Pokemon that I feel like were pretty good value, and hopefully capitalize on them. So, I got 4th overall pick. I think I can pull it up here. 4th overall pick behind Playmore, Callum, and Drewby. And I actually had 4 Pokemon that I particularly highly favored. If I didn't get either of these 4 Pokemon and say I was in like Jay Ricky's spot and I didn't get one of these 4 options in tier 1, I probably would have considered picking my tier 2 that I really wanted. But I have a top 4 pick, and there were 4 Pokemon I really wanted, so I feel like I have a 100% chance actually of getting what I want. And they were Gardevoir, Gardevoir, Crocodile, and Primarina. I feel like they were the 4 best Pokemon in the tier 1 slot there. And when it was my pick at the 4th pick, Gardevoir and Crocodile both went. So I do have the option of picking Gardevoir or picking Primarina. I decided to go with Gardevoir. Primarina is really cool. There's a lot of water options that I could pick for bulky water types. Primarina obviously being the best one out of all of them, but Gardevoir has the option to go Scarf. It also has the option to go just, I mean, you guys know what it does, Psychic and Psyshock, if I can type. So going, basically hitting for the defensive or the special defensive side whenever I want to is super clutch. And Gardevoir gives me that flexibility. It lets me go Scarf, Specs. You can trace any abilities that boost your opponent's stats, or I could trace maybe like a Regenerator, maybe defensive utility there. Super nice. The speed is definitely going to be fine enough. Fighting types are really good in low tier, I've been told. So Gardevoir 4 times resist fighting. I still probably don't take like a Heracross close combat too well, but I will be able to take a hit in a pinch. And I can even go defensive, like max HP with Wish. I also do have Healing Wish as an option to heal up another member on my team. So this is my tier 1. So for P4G, we are doing tiers, as you guys saw here. So we're going with 1 tier 1, then we have to pick 2 tier 2s, 3 tier 3s, 3 tier 4s, and 2 tier 5s. The tier 5s are the Pokemon that are allowed to Terra type. We could Terra type into 1 stab, into 2 non-stab, or alternative stabs of our choice. So pretty interesting setup there, kind of similar to what we did for SPL, but I really like the tier 1 that I got there in Gardevoir. Now, for my next pick, a couple considerations. I feel like really good value in tier 2 was, where we go, Hawlucha and Noivern. I would love to have one of those 2 as my next pick. Hawlucha, there's a couple terrain options. I saw Pincurchin was in tier 5. Arboliva, I think, is in tier 4. We have Thwacky that's in tier 4. I believe Indeedee is in tier 3. Probably Indeedee is going to be the best partner with Hawlucha just because Indeedee hits hard in and of itself. But Hawlucha in terrain seems like a great option. I have Gardevoir that could even spam Expanding Force with Indeedee Psychic Terrain. That seems like a neat option. And Noivern, just elite speed, momentum, pivot. It enables a lot of playstyle options. So that would have been great. Donphan also would have been a really solid tier 2 that I would have picked in my second position there. Tier 3, Galar Slowbro seems quite good as a fighting resist. Now I do have Gardevoir, but if I get that plus Slowbro, I should be generally pretty good. I saw Toxapex and Galar Weezing, which are both also in tier 3 and really good fighting resist as well. They were a little too passive. I think Slowbro has a mix of going offensive or defensive. And I do have Regenerator, which is definitely nice. Clodsire is also a really good option if Slowbro gets taken. I think I'd prefer Clodsire over to Weezing or to Toxapex. Maybe even over to Slowbro with a close call there. Because it has Unaware. So setup, I could at least somewhat ignore, assuming I can beat the opposing Pokemon one-on-one. And Clodsire has decently good stats. Very high special defense. And can also run Water Absorb in a pinch. In tier 4, I felt like Alomomola and Hisuian Electrode were both worthy of a round 2 pick. And it's basically close to wheel. I'm going to call them round 2, round 3 because there's 6 picks in between mine. Second and my third pick, so it's almost a wheel. It's a wheel-ish. So I feel like Alomomola, just for the bulk and the wish support it could provide, and flip turn momentum to get guaranteed wish passes off, is super, super valuable. That's kind of also the reason why I didn't go Primarina tier 1. If I can get Alomomola that's so bulky in tier 4, I'll pick that over Primarina in tier 1 for the value. And then Hisuian Electrode, I believe it's there's Regieleki is right there, but other than that, Hisuian Electrode is the fastest Pokemon out there and has options to hit ground types that Regieleki doesn't really have outside of Explosion or normal Terra Blast. So they're generally the Pokemon I was considering getting for my next 2 picks. So Donphan was picked early round 2 by, I believe it was Thomas. Then, what was it? Hawlucha was picked by Jack, middle round 2. And then Joey picked Noivern right before me. Now, Noivern was the top Pokemon over Hawlucha, but I would have been really good with either of them. Joey picked Noivern and Pecharunt, which I wasn't as high on Pecharunt. Maybe I don't know it. I think it was probably a top 10 option for me in tier 2, but wasn't something I was highly considering. But he really, really won, and he got it with his pick right after mine, which I definitely respect. So the tier 2s, not super high on any of them. I think an Amorous Therian is going to be great, but I have a Gardevoir, so I don't really need an Amorous Therian. So the next Pokemon I picked, so a couple options would have been the Slowbro, Clodsire, Alomomola, and Hisuian Electrode. So I decided to go with the Grounded Poison first, because Alomomola, while it's super nice, there are plenty of older bulky waters that I could pick instead. And Hisuian Electrode, there's other speed options I could get as well. So I went with Galar Slowbro for the next pick. Let me type it up here. Slowbro. It's in PU. Man, that's also crazy. It has Quick Draw. I can't run Quick Claw with it, but I can run Quick Draw, so 30% chance I hit first. And I say if I go for Nasty Plot and maybe get lucky, then that's a cool position to be in. I feel like a lot of times I'll probably run Regenerator, Slack Off, generally pretty bulky Pokemon here. I could be, Eject, Button. So I could be a pivot into something even though I don't have momentum. Gardevoir has Baton Pass. It has Healing Wish, which is momentum in itself. Oh, it doesn't even have Baton Pass. I thought Gardevoir might have gotten it, but Teleport. I think it has, does it have Teleport still? It has Teleport. Okay. That's an option. Wish Teleport Gardevoir. But your HP is really low. It's not going to matter too much. It's going to be a long video, but that's okay. I wanted to do a rambling video, something for a change of pace. So Galar Slowbro is here. Slack Off. You're probably going to be very physically defensive a lot of weeks. I could even go Calm Mind and maybe a stab plus a way to hit Steel types. I think would generally be the way to go with the Galar Slowbro. And I would probably run Black Sludge or Boots, depending on what the team is. Resist Berry. There's a ton of options with Galar Slowbro, and Slowbro can also go physical, which is definitely nice. But Slowbro, 4 times resist fighting, and you can definitely pop on a berry. Like if Heracross is here, I guess Heracross has a ton of options. You could go for Sided Hit for a ton, Earthquake and hit for a ton, Knock Off and go for a ton. Heracross is going to be great, and Joey ended up picking that, so definitely good for him. But like say Mienshao, like has a clear way to hit me, which is Knock Off. One that shouldn't be hitting me terribly hard, and I can go for Colbur Berry, and then go for Psychic, and probably kill. Base 100 special attack is quite good, and I could definitely invest into it if I had to make sure I got a kill. But that's just an example there. I think Galar Slowbro is going to be nice. Toxapex doesn't have the offensive stats to like actually kill Pokemon. It could take hits, but not kill Pokemon in return, so didn't want to do that. Clodsire, to an extent, the same thing as Toxapex, but Clodsire has rocks in addition to Toxapex spikes, so not bad there. But I think Galar Slowbro is going to be really nice value. I have 2 Psychic types, but you can't have too many Psychic types. I believe Gypsy King has said that. So yeah, next pick would either be the Almamola or the Electrode. Almamola actually got picked. I believe it was it was picked by Callum, and I believe Drewby also got Clodsire in, I think, the second pick, and then when Blastoise's third pick, which was maybe like a second tier of options that I was considering, but didn't end up going for. So I had the option to not get Almamola, so I got Electrode instead, which you are going to be in the third slot. Electrode. 150 speed. That's faster than Dragapult, so super fast. Now I don't have access to Terra Fairy. Hopefully it's not like when I got Killer Ralchel when it didn't have Terra access and felt like it was not that good. Assuming Electrode still hits ground type, so like you could still get past Pokemon good enough. And the thing with Electrode is it doesn't handle grass types too well. It doesn't have like Hidden Power Ice or Terra Blast Ice or anything like that. But the thing is I could just Volt Switch into Galar Slowbro to handle the grass types and I'm good. Electrode doesn't also want to deal with dragon types too much. Now you could run Foul Play, and you could even Dragapult can outspeed Dragonite at +1 attack, just because of how fast it is. Electrode's even faster, so I could outspeed some dragons if you want a Dragon Dance. I don't even know how many dragons are that good. Anyway, I guess Noivern would be for one, but I could Foul Play. But again, I could also Volt Switch on dragons and go into Gardevoir, which should be able to take a hit generally okay. So I think the 3 Pokemon here are going to be pretty nice utility. But yeah, Electro is going to be here for the fast speed. I have Aftermaths, Static. Static is always a nice option to have. And because my speed is so high, like 336, I mean, if you go like 16 speed, that'll outspeed base 105s. If you go like 60, we'll outspeed base 110s. So you're going to be fine. I could go even like WTW. A lot of like speed or a lot of bulk otherwise, and take hits pretty okay, or just go max special attack and modest. I could get away with modest for the most part, or if I'm really scared of something, I could go Scarf and a lot of speed and maybe outspeed some weird Pokemon that they assumed that they would just outspeed. So Electrode has good speed. Again, very good speed. So there are my next 2 picks in the wheel. Some things that I wanted, and obviously Almamola being on was unfortunate, but it is what it is. We have ways around that. So I want Hazard Control. I have none in my first 3 picks. Hazards, that'd be good to have, because I don't have any. A Dark Resist, because I do have 2 Pokemon weak to Dark. I guess a Ghost Resist as well, but I feel like I can get a Ghost Resist later. That's not a higher priority. There's no like Dragapult I have to worry about. I want a Physical Breaker, Sweeper. Slowbro can go physical, but I feel like almost every week I'm going to go special. And Gardevoir technically fits on the physical side as well. But again, it's only with 1 move. And maybe consider looking at the tier 5 Pokemon for the next wheel at 4 or 5, which might seem early, but I already wasn't liking too many of the tier 2s. So Or maybe it's not liking them, but I feel like I could support my team later on by having options that are like, they're like good Pokemon. But I didn't think anything was like ground beating. I also want like steel types. Or steel type killers. Because Gardevoir doesn't want to handle them. Now you can run Focus Blast and that's fine. Slowbro runs Flamethrower, Fire Blast. Like you can hit steel types, but they're not ideal. Something that can handle them a little bit better. But by the time it was my pick, the removal was pretty bleak. And there were actually no rockers in Tier 2. I don't even know how many rockers were in Tier 2 to begin with. There's Cobalion, Donphan, Empoleon, Garganacl. Okay, so there's a couple options. Is that it? Swampert and Uxie. So there's 6 options. Maybe Uxie was still available, but with having Gardevoir and Slowbro, I wasn't be getting Uxie. So not basically no rockers in Tier 2. Limited options in Tier 3. There were like maybe half a dozen options at that point. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Also, I assumed I was probably going to get a Tier 4 fighting type. They seemed pretty good, and I wasn't too thrilled with the Tier 3 fighting types. Blaziken and Tier 4 sounded pretty good. But yeah, so, next pick, I picked up Rhyperior. So I went with the rocker option first. Now this Pokemon can be very bulky. With Solid Rock, your attack is so high, especially if you have more than 0 IVs. It's already so high. You can go like max HP, max defense, max special defense. I probably run something like this a lot of the time. And you could take, like I was even looking at Scald from Raikou. I was assuming like, can I live a hit with the Passion Berry and all that from like a Raikou Scald? I take 60% from Scald, like without Passion Berry, just with Solid Rock, in like a spread like this. Now obviously I killed in return with Earthquake, so Rhyperior is like super bulky. You have to invest like this. Or you could even just go for speed and go for Rock Polish, Swords Dance, and 2 attacks. And there's a ton of attacks and a lot of coverage, and it can run Hydro Pump, which is pretty funny. And Surf. But it's obviously a very reliable rocker. It can handle a lot of electric types, not all of them. You're not going to be handling Rotom-Mow, for example. Leaf Storm's going to decimate. Because it's quite strong and it stabs. Raikou Scald is not stab and weaker, so like I can handle that fine. But maybe I need a Grass Resist Berry to take on that hit. I don't even know if I do. Probably, because Rhyperior is so bulky. But I've used Rhyperior a while. I feel like it's been a while for using Rhyperior. I don't think it was available Generation 8, so that would do it. But Rhyperior, love this Pokemon. Next Pokemon I got is a Tier 2. I got Mandibuzz here. So, I did not like the removal, and I feel like with Mandibuzz, I'm good. Like, I don't need any more removal on this team because I have Mandibuzz. Maybe the best remover. Does anything look better in Tier 1? I don't really think so. I mean, Kleavor gets Defog, but that doesn't really count. I might have gotten the best removal like option available. Maybe you could say Donphan is probably more reliable with Rapid Spin. But it can get spin blocked. But yeah, Mandibuzz is here. U-turn, Defog, Roost, Foul Play. I could see myself running that a lot. Maybe Toxic somewhere on here. I think I would run U-turn and Roost a lot of the time to try to pivot into other Pokemon, and especially because I'm going to get more offense later on in the draft. So nice that it still has Toxic because it's a stupid Pokemon. Very toxic Pokemon, but very great bulk. 110, 105, 95. Has Toxic, Whirlwind, Taunt, Foul Play. Like, there's a ton of options to make sure Mandibuzz doesn't lose a setup. You could wear stuff down. You can make sure it goes away. Taunt to make sure they can't heal up. Foul Play, if they're going to boost their attack, they're going to get punished by it. Nice options. Even I could go Weak Armor in a pinch. If something is like Dragon Dancing and then hits me, I could outspeed them with +2 speed as opposed to their +1 speed and maybe to a KO with a Foul Play in return. Like I have options like that. Probably run Boots a lot on this, but nice Dark Resist, nice Ghost Resist. Though you are taking a knockoff, Mandibuzz doesn't really want to do that because you lose your Boots. But it's okay. It's I'll be able to handle it. So, and Rhyperior is basically a knockoff resist. Slowbro is not a knockoff resist, but to an extent it kind of can be. It's weird. But next pick for 6 and 7, the Dunsparce seemed okay in Tier 3. There weren't a lot of options in Tier 3 I was really liking. I think Mimikyu might have been okay with just offensive. You just handle offense pretty well with Disguise. Like, it basically gives you like 7 hits to live as opposed to 6. So it's just a really nice option if I want to go like super offensive. But it's pretty weak. I don't have a Steel type. I have to probably get one eventually. I had options, but I could always go Tier 2 Klefki. Worst case, I don't think anyone was going to pick Tier 2 Klefki. At this point, I prefer a Rocker option for my Steel type, but Klefki would have been nice here. I also mentioned I was looking at Tier 5s, but I think I just had a list of like 50 Pokemon. I would have been fine with getting a Tier 5, so I feel like I didn't care. Like, legit, there were like fast offense, defensive Pokemon, utility Pokemon, breaker options. Like, there were a lot of options in Tier 5 that I would have been very happy with, and I'm happy with the 2 choices I have, but I'm not going to prioritize them anytime soon. Other Pokemon I considered here, Inteleon is pretty cool for speed, but like it just doesn't handle bulky waters, and there's so many bulky waters in this. You just U-turn and bring in something that handles them, but I don't know if Inteleon seemed worth it because I already had great speed and Electrode anyway. Tier 3 Dondozo seemed great for a bulky water. Tauros in Tier 4 seems very nice for its offensive versatility. And that's what I get. I think I get that next. Yeah. Tauros is the next Pokemon on my team. It's CU, which I can understand, but Life Orb plus Sheer Force, Body Slam just hits so hard. And like, you want to hit Steel types, you have Earthquake or Close Combat. Like, they're like the definitional moves to hit Steel types. Even like Throw Chop if you really want to hit a Bronzong. But yeah, a ton of options with Tauros. It even has workup ways to boost your attack. Yeah, and coming off base 100 attack, definitely solid. 110 speed, should be outspeeding most Pokemon. Maybe at most, each team has like one Pokemon that's faster, or maybe speed ties to Tauros. So yeah, Tauros, just a lot of offense and speed and options there. Let's see, can I add another Pokemon? I don't want to show the rest of the other Pokemon I have here. Okay, so Tauros, next slot. Yeah, very good offense. Next Pokemon I got here is Mimikyu. Mimikyu was the 7th Pokemon I decided. So Tauros plus Mimikyu are the next two Pokemon. Physical attacking based. I guess Gardevoir, Slowbro, Electrode are all special based. Rhyperior, Tauros, Mimikyu for more physical side. And I did not like a lot of options in Tier 3. I don't know if Mimikyu was... Mimikyu was definitely not a top option for like the remaining Pokemon I wanted, but like the alternative in Tier 3 I wouldn't have been too happy with. So I think Mimikyu is really nice here. You can red card, and you can have like weird strategies definitely could be more viable in low tier. So Mimikyu can be like, okay, red card. If it lives a hit, will force the opponent to switch out into a random Pokemon. And with Disguise, I should always be living one hit. I guess unless if you have like boosted Rock Blast or something that could like break my Disguise and hit multiple times. I guess that happened with my Baxcalibur against Hitmontop against Hayden. He had red card, but Scale Shot killed him before he could activate the red card, unfortunately for him. So Mimikyu's here. The attack is really weak. You have Sword Stance, you have Drain Punch to hit Steel types, Shadows, Claw, Shadow Sneak for priority, Play Rough for decent stabs. But it just is very weak. And 55 HP is really low. I guess you recover more HP from Drain Punch, but you don't hit hard. You almost always want to have Life Orb if you're going to be going more offensive with Mimikyu, but you could also go red card and just make sure you live the hit. It also can block Rapid Spin, which if I get Hazards in the future, I think will definitely be a plus. And I might get Hazards in the future, so definitely good there. Yeah, so also a third Fighting Resist and a good Fighting Resist. So I feel like between Gardevoir, Slowbro, and Mimikyu, definitely good. Better than my SPL run where I got like 3 Pokemon weak to fighting types for the first 3 picks and didn't really address it too well for the rest of the draft. So, I think a Spiker makes sense with Mimikyu if I'm going to get it, the spin block. But before I get that, I'm going to pick up Bisharp with my 8th pick. This was a Pokemon I wanted probably basically from round like 4. I kind of figured I would get Bisharp. It's going to be my secondary rocker. How often am I going to run rocks on it? I don't know. I didn't want Rhyperior to always run rocks because I think it's super nice to have offensive options on it. So Bisharp's going to be my stealth rocker, but at least partially, but it's still fine. And it can also set up itself with the Sword Stance, Throat Chop, because it does not have knockoff, unfortunately. But Sucker Punch, Iron Head, the set run for like 4 generations. And now it has a Violate, which makes it even bulkier. Now, it's weak to fighting types 4 times a week, and also weak to Earthquake. So not a great combination there. Also weak to Fire, but Earthquake weakness and the fighting weakness are definitely the things holding back Bisharp. But has priority. Also has Defiant if you want to defog my team, then you're going to give +2 attack. And if you want a Rapid Spin, then Mimikyu is going to block it. So hopefully I can keep hazards up for quite a bit of the game. So Bisharp here, a Violate lets it take a couple hits. Special defense is really bad, but it can take a hit if you really need to. Outside of like a close combat, you're not going to be taking with Bisharp. I feel like not a lot of people have used Bisharp in the past, or you like pair with a secondary steel type, like a sturdier steel type that can tank hits, and then you bring a Bisharp as like an offensive option. It's going to be my my tankier quote-unquote option, but I have enough bulk on the team with Mandibuzz, Rhyperior, Slowbro, and another Pokemon I'm getting later. So Bisharp I think has pretty good versatility here, and really good priority, which is paired with Mimikyu, and priority is definitely nice to have. I do have speed with Tauros and Electrode, and then I have good priority. I think that's a good combination to have. Next Pokemon I get is my Tier 5, and it was a Tier 5 that I definitely saw as like one of the top 3 Tier 5s I wanted to get, and like the more and more I looked into it, I'm like very excited for this Pokemon. But I'm not going to talk a ton about it. But we got Smeargle here. It can run any move in a game. I believe there might be very limited exceptions, but it can basically run any move in a game. But it's very weak. It has okay speed, but I think I can make it work. So my Terra option, well, I guess one obvious set you can run is Sticky Webs and Spikes, Stealth Rock. So it's my 3rd rocker on my team. I do have Spikes now to pair with Mimikyu and Bisharp to block removal. I guess Bisharp even blocks Mortal Spin, not that Glamour is allowed anyway. I guess I can run Mortal Spin Smeargle. That'd be pretty cool. But Smeargle has an option to run Hazard. It also can Spore, because Sleep is not banned unlike what it is in Smogon. So I can still run like Focus Sash. I feel like Smeargle is, what's it, PU right now? PU. And I'm sure it lost versatility because it can't Spore anymore. But you can run Focus Sash, make something go to sleep, and then set up hazards or go into an offensive Pokemon like Bisharp and set up Sword Stances. So Smeargle's going to be cool. The Terra typings I gave it are Normal and Ghost, which are very I feel like they're super obvious options, and I'm probably going to run. I'll probably run in Ghost every week, to be honest. Ghost is nice because spin blocks. In conjunction with Mimikyu. And it's like, it makes me like immune to close combat, I guess, or fighting, which is fine. The 3rd type I went for is Electric, to make sure I don't get paralyzed by anything. It's over Terra Dark. I could have went as well to avoid like Prankster, but I think the only Prankster Pokemon I was picked up was Whimsicott, and if I go Dark, that's like not a good matchup anyway. And I don't think I'm too worried about Whimsicott. I'm not gonna be like Uzi and then lose to Moonblast or whatever, but yeah. Smeargle's here, I think is going to be cool. I feel like it's a little slept on as well, so we'll see. The next Pokemon I got is my other Tier 5. These are the last 2 picks of the draft. Cryogonal. I wasn't that high on Cryogonal and wasn't too prioritizing it, but because I also assumed someone else would pick it up. It has good special attack, good speed. And the Terra types I'm going with it are Ice, Ground, and Steel. I think some people are like surprised with the typings I picked, but Ground It basically makes it like a mammoth swine. Ice plus ground coverage. It's very nice. And you also even have free stride to make sure you hit like water types. So ground seems like a good option there. Blocks electric type attacks. I do have Rhyperior for that, but like a lot of electric types are special based. So if you have special coverage to hit Rhyperior, you could be in trouble. Crocodile has speed, so you could outspeed those electric types, and it has very, very good special defense. So like even if you go for ground and like Raikou scalds me, like I'm not going to be getting to a KO'd by a Scald from Raikou type of deal. So that should be fine there. And I can go for special ground type hits. And maybe outspeed, depending on what your electric type is. And then Steel, just generally good defensive typing in case Bisharp doesn't want to come this game because it's tired. Craggle, pretty good. Third Pokemon over 100 speed, which seems pretty solid here. Last Pokemon I got is my Tier 2. I knew I wanted water type in the Tier 2, and there were a lot of options there. I probably want a good fire resist because the only fire resist I have is Rhyperior. And Rhyperior doesn't want to take like a Delphox Fire Blast. Is not going to want to take that too well. And maybe another good ice resist. I do have like Bisharp. Cryogonal, I guess, is a pretty good ice resist, especially its good special typing. But yeah, another Pokemon that I think had bulk. I could have gone more offense, but I did get a lot of offense between the Tauros, Mimikyu, Bisharp. Even Cryogonal is a pretty good offensive option. Went to base 95, special attack. It's pretty good. So I figured in Tier 2, I can get a little bit more bulk. I feel like some of my drafts have been not as bulk heavy as I should have gotten for them, even though a lot of people are saying that bulk is not as good in this gen or whatever. So I have Melodic, which is PU, and it's crazy, but Melodic has really, really good special defense, recovery. It has Scald still. Lost Toxic, unfortunately, but you can basically run Flip Turn in lieu of Toxic and gain momentum. You could also run Haze to make sure opposing setup doesn't happen. If you get paralyzed with the Melodic, not a big deal because you're going to get a defense boost. I don't think I'm ever going to run Flame or Melodic, but you could get a lot of physical defense in that way. It has competitive, so if you want to try to defog and I don't bring the Bisharp, I could bring competitive Melodic and have a +2 special attack and hit for, like, not the best damage. It's base 100 special attack, but it's okay. At like Scald plus Ice Beam is pretty good coverage. So yeah, that's gonna be my team. I like this team a lot. Anything that's generally weak, I feel like I patched up this team pretty well. I feel like I have good speed tiers. I don't know. I always like to go faster and faster, but I think Cryogonal, Tauros, and Electrode are going to be good enough speed. Mimikyu is even pretty fast, it's like 96. 96 speed is pretty good, so I think this team's going to be solid. Gardevoir is a really good choice scarf option, so yeah, hopefully you guys like this team. Definitely took a while for this this analysis here, so my bad, or you get more of my screen time, so that's perfect. Yeah, I think for this P4G run, I'm probably going to keep it pretty standard. I'm looking for a new job. I want to focus on that and other life stuff, and I also have to eventually try to beat Pokerogue, so I'll be streaming that basically when I have the chance, which isn't a ton, but hopefully I can get to it soon. And I also have some content in this box. Yep, shipping's on this side, so you don't see it. So we will maybe venture into additional content as well on the channel. So that should be pretty exciting. But yeah. Again, make sure you guys like the video to enjoy future P4G content. Check out all the other coaches. Links are down below. And consider subscribing to my channel. Really appreciate everyone's support. But yeah, thanks. And until next time, later, guys.